now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition here on Breaking the Base on the Nerd Chase channel. I have with me again, joining me is Ken.
What up,
And
everybody?
he's definitely ready to get down. This is the 54th video here on Breaking the Base, and we're really proud about that because we're trying to be consistent. Sorry about last week. Things came up, and you know how life is.
Life sucks. Especially when you're trying to get home and get on and get in time and make a good product. Jesus.
Yeah.
Don't have kids, people. Don't have kids. It's terrible.
We are definitely going to come with you today with a pretty interesting franchise that we like to talk about. And today we're on this specific Breaking the Base. We're going to be talking about Alien.
Woo! Xenomorphs are us.
Yes, the very franchise that started off the sci-fi horror franchise.
Definitely scared the crap out of me, that's for sure. Hell, I was on like 5 years old in 1979. You realize how old I am? I'm older than dirt. We got 6 movies. We don't count the Alien versus Predator movies because they just don't count. Although we are talking about Predators in our second hour.
Yep.
But our first movie came out in 1979 and scared the bejeebies out of people. When I say scared them, it really scared them. People were like having emotional traumas and stuff over that movie. And then we had our second run of Aliens, which is one of my favorite movies of the Alien franchise.
Mine too.
Because it was badass. And then we got into Alien 3 and it started getting, I don't know about this. Resurrection? Oh, God, why? But then we came up with some hope here. Ooh, really?
Oh, so my bad.
Prometheus. We come up with Prometheus, which is a precursor to what we saw in Aliens.
Yes.
And then we have Covenant getting ready to come out here in not too far from now, actually. I think it's like later this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming out this year. Yeah, it's coming out this year.
May 19th.
Yep.
May 19th. And if you haven't been looking on YouTube, really?
Yeah.
May 17th. I have to write that down. Where's my magical pen? Anyway. So, anywho, we have these precursors, and there's been a lot of advertisement, a lot of stuff on YouTube, especially about Covenant, because it kind of throws a kink in the works of what we've seen in the original movies from Aliens 3.
Mm-hmm.
Resurrection was kind of what, where are we going with this? But let's sneak back to the Wayback Machine and let's go talk about Alien. Dun, 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 dun. What do we got? 1979, Alien. We have a commercial starship, the Nostromo, or Nostromo, however you wish to say that.
Nostromo, I guess.
Yeah, which is heading its way somewhere, and they receive a little cryptic signal from some kind of alien spacecraft. They don't know what it is. They decide to show up. And lo and behold, we find what we call the Xenomorphs. Well, they're not really Xenomorphs yet because no one knows what they look like.
Yeah.
They would be called facehuggers.
Facehuggers.
Yeah, we get to see a facehugger hit that dude pretty hard. And after it dies, he ends up having a problem. And next thing you know, this little bugger pops out of his chest, runs off, and eventually grows into an 8-foot-tall critter that just starts mopping the floor with
everybody.
Nobody has seen anything like this in their lives in the movie world. Creepy, scary, and it's damn scary. It's still scary. You're like, what the heck? What's going on? What's happening here? Everybody's freaking out. And of course, we get our first Sigourney Weaver badass moment of the year. Blow the ship up. And try to escape. But she will come till later to know our alien friends once again when they do find her eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cruise into Aliens, awesome. Our favorite movie.
Yes.
Movie. Very cool. It's 57 years now in our first movie. Of course, hypersleep, no one really ages. She's the sole survivor of the ship. She blew the alien out, vaporized him in the thing, and we think life is good. Thanks for playing. Never, ever, ever, ever good, especially when you come back to Aliens. And she recounted everything. She's ratted her stuff out, and I think she worked for the Wayland Corporation, which was the big kind of the in the back. But I don't say really baddie, but
they were kind of manipulating things in the
yeah,
background.
we run into Wayland later in the movie lineup with the the two prequels with Prometheus and Covenant. We find out what Wayland was going on and how it was kind of evolved into these movies. But they send in the Marine Corps to find out why this planet has gone. It's a terraforming planet. If you don't know what terraforming is, it basically takes an uninhabitable or somewhat inhabitable planet and converts it to an atmospheric habitable. But it will take hundreds of years. And Wayland is the primary company sponsoring this planet, so it's big money in this. So they send the thing of Marines in there. The Sulaco was the ship. And man, all hell breaks loose.
Yep.
If you want firefight, alien, blood, gore everywhere, and we talked about Bill Paxton episode 52, it's game over, man. Well, this is where that comes from because it's exactly what happens. The whole colony has pretty much been sucked up by the aliens because they found some. Find some. No. What did they find? What did they find, Eric? What was on the planet?
They end up finding it. I believe it was that the ship from the first movie, the one with all the eggs on it.
They find that, and
then
what was the big ugly down in the basement?
They end up getting a face full of that good stuff, and also they actually introduced the alien queen.
Bingo! Our queen shows up, who's happily enjoying laying some eggs for people to get face hugged and, well, convert to an army of aliens. Too bad they don't know how to fly spaceships, but
they get around. They manage to get around.
No joke. They really do manage to get around, the little bastards. Them things are bad news no matter what. Anyway, we deal with it, and we get some really awesome graphics. We get some awesome firefights. We have all the good elements of a kick-ass, scary action flick. Aliens by far has got to be my favorite. And we go through the whole movie. We think everybody, we have some really good badass scenes with Ripley fighting the Queen with these really cool fork loader looking things. We get androids ripped in half. We get people sucked out in space. I mean, you name it, it's there. It's all there, and it's awesome.
And one thing that makes it stand out is the fact that it does manage to not only hold on to the horror elements from the first movie, but it also manages to implement the action-oriented ones and just balance it and just straight up balance it.
Very, very. You had to. The Aliens was great science fiction, but it was made to be scary. Aliens comes in there. Not only get the scary, but we throw the action element in there, which really hooks you good. And everything that happens in Aliens is just like there's really no slowness to the movie. I mean, it's kind of like a little bit in the beginning, but once they hit that planet, boom. I mean, it is nonstop. Let's go. And just when you think everything's cool, something else happens.
It has a lot of suspense.
Oh yeah, they do it, and we also find out a little more sneakiness too about the Wayland Corporation. With our little sneaky nerd guy, Paul. I can't think of his last name. The one who ended up getting snuck in a room and chopped up a little bit because he tried to get Ripley and Newt impregnated with the facehugger.
Yeah.
What was that guy's name? Anyway, he was a corporate guy, and his whole goal was, what was it? Paul.
I think it was Baxter.
Reiser, I think.
I don't know. What was that douchebag's name?
He was like in talk shows and stuff too. He was kind of floating around there. But his goal was because they kind of knew about the aliens from the first one. They wanted to find out what's going on with the second one. It was Paul Reiser. That's the guy's name.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he was bouncing around eating something. But he tries to get.
You went for his actual name. I was talking about the character.
Oh no. I could see his face, and I was like, I can't remember that guy's name because he was a nobody after that anyway. Still is a nobody.
Yeah.
But
Burke, that's what his name was. Burke, not Baxter. It was
Burke. And he was trying to basically get Newt and Ripley pregnant with an alien and put them in cryo sleep so they could bring it back and study the aliens, figure out what they are, what can I do with them. And obviously, we end the film with good guys winning, but at a great cost. A lot of great action scenes aboard the ship.
Yes.
And things are going on, and you think it's pretty much game over, and everybody goes home happy. You silly rabbits! There's no such thing as everybody goes home happy in an Aliens movie. I can't believe you people would even believe that. So where do we come up to?
I want to get your opinion about Alien 3.
That's where we're going right now. Let's go to Aliens 3, 1992. The Sulaco somehow has a fire. Everybody gets ejected, which was basically Newt. Sigourney Weaver's character, what was left of the android, and the guy who got screwed up real bad.
What was his name? Mike? Not Mike.
Oh, come on.
Hicks. It was Hicks. It was Hicks.
Yeah, he ends up dying. Even though he survived the alien fight, he ends up dying because of the crash.
Yeah.
And Ripley is saved. Whew, excuse me. Ripley happens to be saved by was it a prison colony, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, she ended up landing on a prison colony.
Yeah, they land up on a prison colony with all male inmates, so obviously some issues there. All male and a female landing on the planet.
Yeah, that was a pretty good.
Of course, we find out that, of course, all is not as it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And Bishop the android ends up replaying the incident, what happened, and something had melted through one of the pods. What could possibly have happened, people? What could have been possibly happened? Next thing you know, we know that there's a little doggy named Spike, and he gets attacked by a facehugger.
Yep.
Now, what happens with everything with aliens? If a facehugger gets you, what happens?
If a facehugger gets you, it impregnates you, and you're pretty much screwed a couple hours after that. Pretty
much.
But the interesting thing that this movie elaborated on is the fact that when a facehugger hits a certain species, it takes on those characteristics of that species.
Exactly. The dog, got sucked in by the facehugger. When the facehugger blows out the alien, it looks like a little dog. It runs like a little dog, except it gets way bigger. Way much bigger.
Way fast.
Like in 30 minutes or less, guaranteed, you got an 8-foot, couple 100-pound creature of death. And so side note, we go back to Ripley and the prison doctor, and she's trying to find out what's happened because she knows that a facehugger was involved. She's trying to find out what happened. Did Newt get infected with an embryo? Was she carrying an alien? And turns out she wasn't. And being that the prison colony is just a prison colony and not really advanced, she goes and uses the ship, the pod that came out with its medical stuff, and finds out that she has been implanted with a facehugger baby.
How did you receive that?
I was like, what? There was only one facehugger. Where did the other one come? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think that was like
one facehugger deal or what?
It's like,
that's
how
one of
did
the
it
problems I
get
had
into
with
the
movie.
Yeah, it's like, how did it's a good twist, but it's like, how did it happen?
Exactly, because we see it.
Yeah,
we see it spray the thing.
If it's like if it happened the way it say it happened, she should have drowned too.
Yeah, it should have basically. Was it finds advantage? Blah 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 blah. Reactivates the ship. Confirms the facehugger came with them. A facehugger, one, came with them in the escape pod. So either there was one that got on the ship, and the one that snuck in. There was two, because we did have the queen. Maybe she dropped one down, to get away, or dropped two, and they didn't hatch until later. But I'm just kind of... Facehugger wants it to impregnate somebody, it dies. All it is a carrier. So if it had already got the dog, How could have gotten her? Big inconsistency here. That is one of the problems that I have with the movie. The other thing is that I want to know how she knew it was a queen.
You know what?
She said, I have a queen growing. How? How do you know?
Actually, a really
The
good
head
question.
or what?
Like, yeah, what's the
couple
physical feature?
little inconsistencies here. And again, our ugly-faced crew, after she does it, a message comes back and says that her scans were sent. So they sent her information from the escape pod to Wayland Yutani. Again, here's our guy, Wayland again, coming into the picture. And what are they looking into? Biological weapons. So now Ridley, woo, man, I cannot speak today. Ripley is now concerned because A, she has a queen growing in her. She knows it's going to pop out and kill her, but she needs to die. She needs to get this thing done and get rid of it. But they still have an alien floating around in there too.
Yeah.
So very clever how they end up taking on the alien, though. Seems like these things are not quite as... What do you think?
At least in this one, it's a little bit more. The people, they had to be a little bit more resourceful due to the fact that they did not have weapons.
Exactly. No guns.
The first movie, yeah.
Same thing with the first one.
The first movie had,
a flamethrower. In the first one.
Yeah.
And then
they had the and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, they had armor.
The fun stuff.
Exactly. And then we got to a planet that's a prison planet that doesn't even have a gun on the whole thing, and all they do is all they have available to them is a foundry, basically. I think at that time hadn't even been running a while anyway.
Yep.
They were basically just left there to die. I think that's what the story was really. Went away because it said something. They had extra chromosomes or whatever that led them to be more antisocial to rape and murder.
Yeah.
So they were kind of thrown there to die anyway. So we got a resourceful team. We got an alien who's like really hot to trot and kill some people. And of course, it's really cool when you see the alien because now it's a full-blown, full-sized 8-foot monster.
Hold on.
But it's got that real cool biological.
Let's see what's going on.
Like a dog. And then we add the lead. And hopefully kill it.
Through.
But does it die? No. It gets super hot and comes popping out of there until they get it nice and rapidly cool by using the sprinklers, and then it finally just explodes.
Okay, y'all, you good?
I'm good. You good?
Let's see.
So,
hello?
I'm here. Are you there? Oh, no. Well, while he's figuring that out, we'll keep on trucking.
Give me 1 second, people. Unfortunately, something has happened on my end.
Never fails.
Hello?
I'm here.
I don't know what that was.
It was the aliens trying to stop us. They're trying to not let us tell their story.
Honestly,
that's my theory.
I did like Alien 3 to some extent due to the whole. And it seemed like there was kind of but there was a weird focus, I guess, on redemption.
Maybe it was leaning towards that. Well, the Rock, basically, I can't think of it. What was his name in there? The guy who basically held it down.
Something like that.
Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan is the guy. kept in there and kept allowing it to fight him until they could pour the lead on him
He was my
and kill him
favorite
and an
character.
alien.
He was my favorite character in that movie.
He was good, and he played a lot of good stuff on the side too. I used to watch a lot of his other shows too. Then here we go. We have the Wayland Yutani team show up. They come in there and try to basically persuade Ripley to go under surgery and get rid of the queen embryo. And she's like, not happening. You are not going to do it. And she ends up basically sacrificing herself to stop that from happening.
Yep.
And as she is jumping into a liquid vat of hot metal, the alien queen decides to pop out her chest, and she grabs a hold of that sucker and hangs on dearly.
That was kind of
And thus we
symbolic in a way.
end. Oh yeah, she goes, I got you. I got you good. And that is the end of Ripley as we know her, for the betterment of mankind.
And then, of course, we go now to, I believe, Alien Resurrection, where they managed to bring Ripley back from the dead.
How strange is that? You know, it was only 200 years later.
I actually think that was... Do you think that was a clever way? Like, do you think that's a plausible way for them to have done that?
I couldn't think of any other way they could actually pull it off. Although it's still reaching to me. It's still reaching though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're talking 200 years. You know, they had to have gotten some genetics of her with the alien hybrid. I don't know. I think it was kind of reaching. I was really kind of like, what the heck? Because they used, what do they say? Blood samples taken before her death. And I thought originally it said that they had actually gone through the molten metal to find genetic information.
I thought,
because this is where we get another weird thing with the aliens, because a facehugger gets you. The facehugger takes on the characteristics of whatever it impregnated. So in this case, we had a dog. It looks like a dog, or similar to a dog with the alien thing. But then they bring up something new in this one called genetic memory. So every time an alien makes another alien, whatever it knew passes to the next alien. So we find out about this genetic memory because she was impregnated with the queen alien.
Yeah.
They took her blood, cloned a viable, and you find out later in the movie about this, a viable clone, and removed the queen without killing the clone, on around to study more about her because she has the acidic blood now, like the aliens, because basically their kind of genetics have been mixed up together. And then she also has a psychic link to the aliens. And she has some of the memories from Ripley. So all those things mixed together was like, I don't know, man. I just kind of reaching to me.
As far as her being cloned and them taking the alien out of her, I can get behind that. But the part where she's like part alien.
Yeah, she's got some of the, it kind of hurt me a little bit there. But, we'll proceed. We'll keep on trucking. We found out that the military has basically been doing some, dirty work behind the scenes. And they have actually been using that queen and alien eggs that have been captured in hyperspace sleep. So these people are being kidnapped, have no idea what's happening to them, get exposed to the aliens with no knowledge. They wake up, next thing you know, there we got an alien.
I'm still trying to figure out, like, where did the way? I mean, I understand they want to use these things as weapons, but how many times do they have to be proven that you can't use that as a weapon? I can understand
because a weapon is smart.
Yeah, these are smart.
The weapon is not stupid. The weapon is smart. The weapon is an intelligent life form. It's not just some war machine or some, garbage. It actually knows. And they find out later. that they are smart because the damn thing figured out how to get out by fooling the guys to bring them over to the thing, the little cages that they were in, and brought them over.
and like,
what the heck?
And I don't understand like their reasoning behind that. I mean, if you take a look at the alien, the Xenomorph itself, it is just a living weapon with the ability to assimilate, has a hive mind, and just one can literally wipe out a planet. It just takes that one.
Well, if you go back to Aliens, Alien, the original, there's some deleted scenes out of that movie that never made it. In fact, actually, I don't even know if it was on the DVD or Laserdisc that these were mentioned about. But how do you make more aliens when your alien dies? How long do they live? How do you make more aliens if you only have one who's not a queen or a facehugger? They answered that question because the captain of the Nostromo was kidnapped, but he did not get killed. It turns out that the alien, like a worker bee, basically, the xenomorphs that we normally see in the movies, can actually take a life form and somehow convert that into a impromptu facehugger egg. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I didn't either until a little while ago. But that's one of the things. So that's how they can appropriate and come back with more than one. So I thought that was very interesting.
I read somewhere. I don't know if it was like one of the back channel websites. I don't even remember. I think it might have been I think it might have been a book, because I read some of the Alien books and I love those. They should actually make a couple of them movies. But I read up on it that they said that if a worker drone is put into an environment by itself, away from other ones, like isolated, that it can,
like the one on Nostromo.
Yeah, it can change sexes and become a queen.
Really?
Yeah, I said,
you know what? It works to what I was off of that movie, though.
No, I mean, like, I'm not putting that down. I mean, that's an interesting idea too.
Sense, though, because there are actually creatures, lizards and frogs in our current world that if they have an area where they just don't have enough males or females, they can change genders. So it's not too far unbelievable that you could take that science and throw it into the movie, because it would make sense. But what we do find out, though, that because Ripley has taken on some of the alien features, the queen that they made has taken on some human features. Instead of having the tail thing to make eggs, she actually ends up with a womb and gives birth to a kind of a xenomorph human weird thing.
Even more really of a hybrid than what they are.
Yeah, it was a really pink, scary looking thing too. And I was like, oh my God, what the heck? You know, that was like, what?
It looked like something out of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, something else.
It was an interesting idea. It was an interesting idea, but I think the execution of it.
Oh, they went way downhill with that one. There was just too much, you know, theoretical. I mean, granted, we're talking science fiction. You can do whatever you want. But I mean, if you've been keeping up with the story, there's just, you know, you're kind of losing the mythology of the alien storyline. Okay, she takes on the traits of, you know, a badass alien, but they take on traits of the human and the queen that they developed. I just, you know, I can't.
It wasn't properly explained from the way that they said it.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have made sense for that to happen, because they said they basically cloned Ripley, which cloned the alien, but that still wouldn't.
Exactly.
It still wouldn't explain how they. Well, if they had said, well, if they kind of manipulated the genetics or something, that would have fit a little bit better. But you know, just because you clone them both, you know what I'm saying, don't mean that they switch DNA.
Yeah, it's like,
I don't know.
It is all science fiction, friend. All science fiction. But, you know, and the way that new alien dies is even worse.
Yeah.
That was pretty gross.
It was kind of cool, but it was messed up.
Like, ugh.
I want to get your opinion. How iconic do you think the Xenomorph is?
The Xenomorph is iconic as H.R. Geiger. Because that's who came up with it. And it is creepy, and people know that alien. They know that design. They know that weird tunneling-looking structure, the organics. You know, an alien is damn scary. And, I mean, even if I had, you know, I've seen people have life-size aliens, you know, that get made by, like, one of the studios, and they're paying, like, $15,000 for things. I wouldn't have one in my house. That's how creepy they are. I mean, it just gives me the willies. You know?
How original do you think their design is? Because it basically looks like a mixture between maybe like a centipede.
It's like a bioorganic creature. If you ever watch any of the H.R. Geiger interviews about the designs of it, he explains it a lot better. It's basically biomechanical, you know, engineering mechanical items, like the texture of their skin and the way they're plated, and they look like, you know, pipe organs and stuff.
Yeah.
To a creature, you know, a streamlined creature. But he talks about it a lot in this interview, and it's really cool. But, you know, they're just freaking scary as heck, man. They just give you the willies. And anytime you even see the design, like at Geiger Furniture, he's got like a park. He's got all kind of crazy stuff. You know, you see that design, and you know who it is, and you know what it's representing. It's scary. Stuff is crazy.
Because I was watching Prometheus, and so far Prometheus kind of touched on the idea of how they were started, but which this Alien Covenant movie is supposed to do.
Well, Prometheus gives us our first introduction. This is precursor to Alien that we saw. This is how Weyland knew about stuff. You know, Weyland knew things a long time ago. If you watch Prometheus and put it all and start putting stuff together, and Weyland didn't want to die. Basically, he wanted immortality, and he was trying to figure out how to do it. And he figures that the engineers, as what they're called now, would know, and they basically had, at the beginning of the movie, kind of created humans or, you know, life on Earth with their own, and then they send everybody out there to go find out what's going on, and turns out that they were coming to get rid of us. They just didn't know it, and they didn't know why they were coming to get rid of us. And then we have a biological weapon, which at the time was just goo, the black goo. We didn't have any eggs. All we had was the goo. And the goo adopted to whatever life form it was put into, because the first crewman, well, we had a couple different things going on here too. We had the weird snake-looking things that killed the two guys. Kind of like a face hugger slash, I don't know what the hell that thing was.
It looked like the alien's tongue. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy looking.
No, it looked like a face hugger without the tentacle, without the fingers.
Yeah, because the one who killed the dude, he just went down his throat and killed him. And the other one melted the guy's face mask off, and he ended up coming back later on, and he got burned to a crisp.
Well, he looked like crap.
The android in here, which one is this one? The android is... It's not Walter, it's David.
David, played by Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, he plays David, and David is curious. David's going to play a lot to role in Covenant. If you've been watching any of the cameos, any of the little stuff, the little YouTube things they've been releasing about it, I think you could even go to Weyland Technologies online and get more information, which is kind of cool. They're trying to tie everybody in to come into Covenant. Carry on. Was about 10 years after this incident happened, and I'm not exactly sure how much before before Alien actually Covenant is. It could be several hundred years, who knows? I mean, it doesn't really put a timeline in there per se of how soon Covenant was before Alien, but we do know
this is what I'm interested in. You remember at the end of Prometheus, they had the one alien hybrid thing come out that
escape
the
pod.
big thing.
Well, you had two.
Uh,
You had two.
it was.
You
I'm
had
talking about the
one
one
that
that
came out of
burst
the
out of that
girl.
thing's chest.
Well, you had the engineer.
Yeah.
Who got infected.
Mm-hmm.
And it had that weird long-headed looking one come out.
I want to know how prominent is that one? Like, is that one going to play a role in this? Or was that just something they just left off?
And they left it off. Because also, if you go back, the girl who got pregnant by the guy who had the goop in his eye.
Rooney Mara.
And she ended up getting pregnant.
I mean,
and had the thing cut out of her.
Yeah.
That comes back too.
Oh,
and that was yeah, well, I'm sorry. I mean, you had two different xenomorphs in the end of that movie.
Oh, you talking about? Okay, yeah.
I mean, if you're going categorically, you have two. But the one at the end, the one from the engineer, that was more of a humanoid looking one, because he was actually attacked by like a facehugger looking thing.
That big one.
Yeah, the really big ass one. That's where we get those. But later down the road in Covenant, if you watch the YouTube thing they just put out there, there's two of them about. One's about David and what's been going on in the last 10 years since Prometheus has happened. Because although he was separated, somehow he's back together again because they show him walking. So somehow he's either put himself back together or she put him back together or something. I don't know. And you don't know what happened to... I was trying to think of her name in the movie.
I know it's Noomi Rapace. Because I wanted to see how, again,
Elizabeth Shaw.
How prominent is her character going to be in this movie? Because they say she's supposed to be
not.
in it.
She might be in there very briefly in a flashback, but from what I've seen, I don't think Shaw made it, because if you watch the trailer, you see her dog tags hanging from as they enter the ship that's on the planet. Again, the engineer's ship, you see her dog tags hanging. And then later on, you see a figure that shows up that looks very much like David, because the new guy, Walter, and him are the same android type clones.
Yeah.
And, but he's been on the planet, for 10 years at the engineering planet. Speculation of what's been going on. But if you go to YouTube and check on the Covenant stuff, you'll find out a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of theory. And your little pointed head alien from the first movie, from Prometheus, was also brought up in there too, but I don't think you're going to see that. You're going to see, I think we're going to see more the classic ones that we know of, but I think they've been engineered that way. And I suspect that David has something to do with that. Because I think he's trying to play God, because he can't be infected, so he's not a true living life form. The part or whatever, but he cannot be infected. That is the plus thing about him. And I think that's going to have a lot to do with Covenant, too. We're going to see a lot of interesting stuff in Covenant. And it's going to be damn scary, too, because we're going to have a lot of really crazy bursters. And I think we're going to have a couple different styled in this movie.
I'm just, like I said, I'm just really excited to see what are they going to do with the one that they had at the end of the last movie.
Well, I think it. I just got left on the planet.
They have to readdress that.
I think it just got left on the planet because after she took off is when you saw it.
It's like what happened after that? I can't let that go. It's like if I watch Alien Covenant and they do not address that creature again, show us what happened to it, how it evolved, if it evolved, is it still alive? Did they meet it? Did it attack them? Did it infect one of them? They got to do something with it.
There's not going to be anybody there. I mean, it's the only person who survived it was Shaw and half of David, or what was left of David. Those are only two humans that survived. Charlize Theron's character was killed. The engineer was killed. Of course, he ended up becoming a xenomorph.
I didn't like how she died.
You got to run faster than that.
Got crushed by a ship.
Squish. It happens.
I mean, what are your expectations for Alien Covenant? Because I've played the games, and the games have shown like different, a hell of a lot more different variations of the aliens. Like it's like it's stupid like how many different types they actually have at least in the games.
Well, you also, remember they adapt to whatever life form. And on a side note, even though we're not going to say AVP anywhere,
Yeah.
if you read the comics, the aliens know, the predators know what the aliens are, and they use them for their hunting. And they drop off eggs, let the eggs do their business. They show up a little bit later, and then they go after whatever life form they've taken over. And if you've seen some of the comics, they've been like these bold creatures. They've been some flying snake-looking things.
Yes.
I mean, there's all kind of crazy stuff that they have transformed into and gone about fighting. So, they're aware that they are there. And even in our next hour, we're going to talk, in the Aliens 2, there was a homage play to the aliens. So, there's a lot of stuff there. I expect Covenant to be, Prometheus and Covenant are different than the alien movies we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
They're not completely true horror films, but they're more of explaining. Whew, bad English today. I think they're more explaining and giving us a lot of precursor to what we saw in Aliens in 1979, the original Alien movie. And so we're going to find out what happened and why. And the character David has a lot to do with this from the original Prometheus. I just don't know how much time has happened between Covenant and Alien. They need to put out a time frame in there somewhere that gives us an establishment of when, because we know it's 10 years from Prometheus to Covenant, so we have a good time frame there. But how long before we ever saw Alien?
Oh,
so
I
don't know. It should be interesting, to say the least. It should be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I may not watch it in the theater because I'm one of them chickens that don't like scary movies.
Yeah.
So I may not be there watching it, but I'll probably watch it on DVD or some other method of watching movies other than a theater.
I want to ask you something. I don't think we got I would love to extend this conversation, if that's cool with you. You want to go ahead and just extend it to the second hour, the second half?
If you like to.
Yeah, we can.
We have enough?
Yeah. I still got a whole bunch of questions.
You have a bunch of questions. So we're going to skip Predator tonight, huh?
Yeah, we can skip tonight.
Or we can add a little bit tail end of it. That's fine. I'm cool. Let's go with it. Let's rock and roll for our second hour because we're getting ready to hit that magical time anyway.
All right, then, guys, go ahead and get ready to join us for the second half of our show. Me and Ken just talked about the Alien films, and we're going to dive more into it with the second half. I have a whole bunch of questions. There are so many possibilities of the Alien franchise itself, and we're just going to go ahead and dive into them because you know me, I love to ask questions. And we will see you guys in a minute. Give me 1 second, and we